time here. So, today's topic is going to be a topic that I think I hear a lot about, particularly in terms of questions from people who want to know, like, oh, should I do, X, Y, or Z? People are always asking questions about this, but the answer is very often the same, which is that it doesn't really matter that much. And the topic is essentially, symmetry, balance across muscle groups, across limbs, etc. So this is a topic that is, I think it's something that the fitness industry has really made worse, because basically, at least in the US, the standard, sort of way that a personal trainer is supposed to sell themselves is that you have some kind of initial consultation with, a client or, a potential client that's free at your gym. You snag them to do the consultation however you can. And then essentially you spend that hour trying to convince the person of your value. And then, after that you try and make a sale. Now the problem is, trying to convince people of your value can be hard, particularly if they're not really interested in your services and, they don't really want to buy from you. So what happens, when, trainers start sort of selling themselves by fudging a little bit? They lie a little bit, they exaggerate a little bit about what they can do, about how they're going to help you, and so on. And one of the things that's happened the most with, I would say, is essentially, symmetry and balance and posture. And so, we do these assessments that are designed to identify, potential problem areas, and then the idea is that we have corrective exercises that you can do to fix that. I think that corrective exercise in general is kind of a BS idea. I think that that's not to say that exercise helps, or not to say that it doesn't help, that is to say, because it certainly does. But I think that most often when it comes to what trainers talk about when they talk about corrective exercises, they don't really know. They just kind of, heard some things on the internet or whatever, and they're just kind of making up some BS in order to look good. And I've seen it with so many trainers. I've seen trainers who, just basically make crap up on the spot, but they think that they haven't. They think that they've got something real, in there. And this is why people like Naudi Aguilar are popular, because they invent a bunch of BS problems that they need to fix for you. And then, that way they could say, oh, look, we fixed these problems, even though those problems weren't really problems and didn't really matter in the first place. And so I would say we get a ton of emails from people who are like, okay, my right arm is slightly longer than my left, or, like my right bicep is a little bit bigger, and, I'm asymmetrical. So listen, here's the deal. People are asymmetrical. That's just, like, no one is born perfect with perfect proportions and ratios. That's just how it is. Like, it's not like the body was born perfect and then you just fuck it up. Like, it was born fucked up and you just work around that. That's how people do things. It doesn't really hold back your health. It doesn't really hold back your performance. It's one of those things where, again, trainers have invented this fake problem so that they can fix it, so that, they can look cool, when the reality is that they're not really doing very much for you except taking money out of your pocket. Now, that's not to say that there aren't, instances in which people's posture or form can be really bad, and that can, potentially be detrimental to their health and performance. But the vast majority of people are concerned about is not that. What they're concerned about is these tiny little normal anatomical differences between people that, they have been taught to believe are super important but really aren't. What that means is, like, you may have a little bit less muscle on one side or the other. Yeah, you may get a little bit more sore in one place or another. Yeah, things may look a little bit weird. Your arms might look a little bit weird. Your bench might look a little bit weird because your arms look weird. But the thing is that those things, are very easily treatable. If one arm is slightly bigger than the other, then, just train the other arm a little bit more with some single arm work. If you tend to get sore more in one place than, you think normally people would, then, you do a little bit more foam rolling, a little bit more massage, a little bit more, whatever recovery techniques to, help improve that. It's something that you work around. It's not something that you fix. It's because there's nothing wrong with it. It's just kind of how your body is set up. That's just how that's how you are. That's all there is to it. So I think that, again, the huge problem is that people have been led to believe that these are super important issues. And it's not just, it's not just trainers, it's chiropractors, it's massage therapists. It's a lot of sort of these adjacent professions, again, that have been taught to believe that, posture is a super bad thing and so on. I'll give some links to, some good literature down in the notes. Basically, painscience.com, excellent resource, has a lot of good research on this stuff. The point is, don't worry about it. Just don't. It's really not that big of a deal, and you don't need, you don't need to freak out about it. Yeah, it may necessitate that you change up your training a little bit more, specialize your training a little bit more relative to somebody else, but it doesn't mean that you're going to, snap both of your arms and, oh man, it's holding back your bench press by 200 pounds or something. It's not, a lot of the stuff that's not how it works. There's just benign compensations that your body makes to make up for it. And that's it. So yeah, people are asymmetrical. Stop trying to be perfectly symmetrical. That's not a good thing. That's not a better thing. That's not an achievable goal. It's not something that you can really do, and it's not something that if you could do would be good for you in any way, shape, or form. You're just born with a certain anatomical thing, and you work with that. That's who you are. So, as always, like, comment, share. Tell me what you want to see in future videos. I will talk to you guys next time. Have a good one.